Well, you've got Bill Ackman again, the stock manipulator. Bill Ackman, the stock manipulator. The human parasite. Now, I made a video recently talking about Bill Ackman manipulating the market like he always does. And what's he do? The same thing. Comes out again. The same behavior. Last week, Bill Ackman makes a huge bet on Hertz becoming tariff winner. As a result of this announcement, Hertz soared by almost 45%. 45% on Thursday in one day. This guy is a total fucking piece of shit loser. He's an investment loser. And I want all you motherfuckers out there to tell him I said so. And you tell everybody else out there. Nobody's going to confront me. Nobody who I'm calling out is ever going to fucking meet me on a neutral live platform. Because they know that they're all fucking con artists. And they're fooling the masses. That's how it works, folks. You ban reasonable, intelligent, objective, honest experts. You get them out of the way, and you promote a bunch of charlatans. And this goes, this is in the financial industry, in the political realm, everything. And you take a look who's controlling the entire goddamn discourse. So this is the issue, folks. You've got the same people controlling the entire discourse. And now you see how the world works. And by the way, let me just mention one thing here. Anybody going to post my videos? You turn off all the comments. I don't need a bunch of fucking stupid knuckleheads addressing me and publishing disinformation. I'm the expert. Sit down, shut your fucking mouth and take notes and learn. You don't come to someone on a much higher level and think you're on that level and tell them your stupidity. It doesn't work that way. I don't do that. There are people that are at a higher level than me in many different areas. I don't go to them and reveal my ignorance. I sit down, I shut up, and I learn from them. So let's go over this here quickly, and I'm going to talk about I'm going to follow up on Peter Schiff. This is pretty funny. I found this out, wasn't even paying attention to it. There's a big can of fucking worms, big rabbit hole, Peter Schiff. I want to talk about a lot of things, actually. China shills, Jeffrey Sachs. And by the way, notice the three names on the title here. You notice anything common between these guys? You might start to notice that the vast majority of people that seem to be promoted out there, seem to get the limelight, seem to be in a position of influence and power, they're related. Why is that? You got it? You understand what's going on now? I've lived this whole fucking nightmare for more than 20 years. I see what's going on. Now, Bill Ackman, of course, let's remind everyone before we get into this latest scam. And it's a legal scam. I mean, unfortunately, it's a legal scam. And the mafia, they always do this. This is why the media, right? They're able to defraud people, lie to people. They can do this legally because they've got their buddies in the positions of power that pass the laws and enforce the laws. Let's not forget Bill Ackman is in his little group of billionaire. Many of them are, I don't think there's a single valid person in that group of people, okay, who is honest and made their money with honesty. And I'm talking about that group of people. You might recall, and you can look it up, they had their Instagram group. I talked about this. They had their little Instagram group last year. Barry Steinlight, Starwood, the real estate private equity guy, Ackman, Michael Dell, several others who are all related, by the way, who are all billionaires. Ask yourself how they got their fucking money. How they got their fucking money. Let's see. Maybe they can get favorable bank loans from their fucking buddies. Maybe they can defraud people like Michael Dell did 15, 20 years ago with his fucking Dell computer. Okay? Folks, I can go on and on. I know the whole fucking deal. Okay, when you understand the name of the game, the whole system, and really it's quite simple, by the way. The banks are at the center. Whoever controls the banking system, they can decide who gets the loans and at what interest rate. And they can decide if those loans are called in. You understand? So if you happen to be a fucking loser, you can come into the world and you can actually, theoretically, quite possibly, open a little shop and eventually grow over many years, decades, not really being that successful, not really being that good, but you have unlimited access to capital, to credit, and you can keep borrowing money, expanding your operations. Eventually, maybe you can overtake Walmart because you have unlimited access to capital, and you can lower prices artificially to undercut your competition and put them out of fucking business. You know, it's funny, and you all know I'm certainly not a fan of China, but what China has done and is doing to the global economy through their illegal trade practices, right? Illegal dumping of goods, artificial low prices, right? Through government subsidies. It's funny because the U.S. does the same thing domestically. Did you know that? They do the same thing domestically. If you're in the buddy system, you get unlimited access to capital. And you can, not to mention many other things, you got the legislators on your side, right? You could get all the laws passed that you need to engage in criminal operations such as Uber and Airbnb. I've talked about that. But think about it. You've got Amazon, who's put all these companies out of business through illegal means, through antitrust means. Google, same thing, right? Do you understand how the system works now, folks? If you run the banks, if you run the money, you run the entire economy. Okay? That is you and your friends who get all the favorable loans and favorable investments. And by the way, Wall Street's also going to take your company public. Let me give you an example. There's a company called Papa John's. You all probably know the pizza company. They make shitty ass fucking pizza and have made shitty pizza for fucking decades. Well, guess what? That company basically was launched as a low-cost alternative on college campuses. Okay? That was their niche. They were a lower-cost alternative to Pizza Hut and Domino's. This is several decades ago. And lo and behold, several years later, I'm surprised to see the pizza company is gone public. And I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck are they going public? What do they have to offer in the market that's compelling, that's different? Right? Nothing. And I'm talking about, folks, even many years after Papa John's was public, they still weren't creating innovative new products. Their pizzas were fucking bland and shitty. Right? They even going public, they didn't really do a whole lot. So why did they go public? What was the value? Well, take a look at the CEO. A slimeball, racist scumbag. And his buddies tend to be extremely racist. But yet they tell everyone else they're racist, by the way. That's kind of the whole game. You know, where you lash out and strike someone and you scream. You know, you're the guy that lashes out and strikes somebody, but you're the one that's screaming as though you're the victim. You all know the whole fucking MO of the mafia, right? So that's just one example, by the way. Pizza, Papa John's Pizza. Okay? One example. I have many. You know, I actually wrote an article, made a video about 10, 15 years ago, maybe about 12 years ago, on a gelato company, a very successful one, that was, you know, this was when gelato was just starting to kind of get big in the U.S. Well, about 15 years ago, I think it was. And I noticed CNBC promoted this guy who didn't even really have his own gelato. He basically copied the formula from his time as some fucking like English fucking teacher living in South America. Something like that. Some fucking loser. And he comes back to America. He doesn't even have a retail business. His business is wholesale, so you don't know about it. How does he have the wholesale business? Well, maybe because he's got the right fucking last name. You got it? Capiche? That's how it fucking works, folks. Meanwhile, you know, CNBC does a big feature on him as if he's some great person. What has he done besides, quote, borrow the gelato recipe from some people in South America? Which, you know, I doubt there are Italians in South America. Although there's some, but I doubt those particular people. If I had to bet, they're probably not Italian. So anyway, there was a much more successful gelato company that was rapidly expanding. I can't even remember the name, but it was probably the largest one in the country, and I know it very well. And they weren't featured because they were actually Italians from Italy who brought their own family recipe. And they just happen to have the wrong last name. So they don't get featured. They don't get promoted. They don't get access to tens of millions of dollars of free advertising. You understand how the buddy system works, folks? Nobody can refute what I'm saying. Nobody. And this is why all these people out there, nobody will go up against me. Nobody of any fucking credibility. And you got to be on my fucking level. Not some fucking twerp. On my fucking level. I want someone on my level. You got it? I want someone on the highest possible level to come up against me. They won't do it. You understand, folks? That's why I got banned 20 fucking years ago. And this is why people don't have a fucking idea what's going on in the world. They don't know what happened during the financial crisis. They don't even understand what's going on with the tariff issue now. They're so stupid and ignorant because they're listening to all the leaders of discourse, the people that control the discourse out there. The Joe Rogans and his whole mafia of scammers that he promotes. Patrick Bet-David, so on and so forth. Jordan Peterson, so on and so forth. You got it? And that whole circle jerk, the huge fucking circle jerk. And the Ben Shapiro's, right? Tucker Carlson. You understand? You don't have anyone that's truly knowledgeable, honest, and intelligent. You don't have any intellectuals leading the discourse. And if you think there are some out there that have exposure, you're fucking delusional, because there's not. And a good example of this, by the way, is, I don't know if we're going to get to it in this video, but is Jeffrey Sachs. A perfect example. He's a guy, he's got the right last name, you know, kind of like Goldman Sachs, Jeffrey Sachs. So, of course, he's brilliant. He's a genius. They're all geniuses. Remember? Greenspan? Alan Greenspan? They're all geniuses, but they all fuck up. They all blow up the economies. They all blow up the stock market, and nothing ever happens to them other than they continue to be promoted. Whether it's Larry Summers, right, blowing up so many things, Alan Greenspan, you name it. So hopefully we'll get to him. But let's go ahead and talk about Ackman now. Here's a stock chart of Hertz, and I don't follow shitty companies like fucking car rentals. Fucking, like, you have to be an investment loser to even take a position in that, unless you come out and say this is a speculative trade. Okay, I mean, car rental business. I mean, that's always been shit. But can you imagine how bad it is now? Think about it. Do you realize how distressed that fucking sector is? I don't even follow it. You have to know it's distressed. Why? Because look at the ride-hauling industry, the Ubers and Lyfts, right? With not only that, Tesla and all these other companies, they're going to turn their cars into fucking robo-taxis. So who the fuck is going to, and of course you had Hertz that invested in Tesla thinking they're going to be ahead of the curve and they lost their fucking ass. Just complete stupidity. You have to be an idiot to even think about investing in the car rental business. You don't know anything about investing. You're a fucking idiot. But when you're a desperate loser like Bill Ackman, you're going to do it. Just like when he actually shorted Herbalife. By the way, Bill Ackman claims to be a value investor. News fucking flash. Value investors don't fucking short stocks. I mean, come on. So take a look at the chart. And I don't know. I guess something, they got relisted. I don't follow them. Obviously, Hertz was around a long time. I guess they got into trouble. I don't know. They reorganized or something. But you can see 2021, they went back on the market. 15, 16 bucks, and you can see what's happened since that time, all the way down to $2 and change. But take a look. Bill Ackman apparently, from his own disclosures, I haven't looked into this, but apparently Bill Ackman claims that he started investing in Hertz at the end of 2024, somewhere, okay? But take a look now. So he wants to manipulate the market by using the media, who, he's related to all the media mafia guys. You all know that, right? And so they're going to promote him, and they're going to help him out. They're going to help him take money from the other people from Main Street. And you can see the stock pop here. They want to help him out. You see that? No one in the media is going to come out and say, wait a second, Bill, what are you doing disclosing your fucking position? No real hedge fund manager wants their positions disclosed. What are you doing? You're manipulating the fucking market. So Bill Ackman, let me explain to you what happened, folks. Okay, because I'm the big swinging fucking dick. Show me someone who's a bigger swinging fucking dick than me. Let's go. Come on. So what happened is, Bill Ackman, and before we continue on this little, I expose the narrative. Let me point this out here. Why he got in. Here's why Ackman likes Hertz. Now I looked for his little post on Twitter. I couldn't find it. Anyway, so take a look. I read this first reason here, and I don't need to read anything else. So take a look at this. Hertz owns 500,000 vehicles valued at $12 billion. As used car prices rise due to auto tariffs, the company's fleet gets more valuable. A 10% increase in these prices boosts the asset value of its vehicles by $1.2 billion. Wow, Bill, you're a genius. This sounds like Kyle Bass type of logic, by the way. Kyle Bass type of logic. Fucking stupidity. This is what apparently Bill Ackman listed as his rationale. Wait a second, Bill. Have you ever heard of fucking car depreciation? Car fucking depreciation? You understand, Bill? As the cars sit on the lot, or when they're used, even more so, wear and fucking tear. You stupid idiot. What a fucking moron. So that's all I need to know to confirm that Bill Ackman's a fucking idiot and a stock manipulator. So let's take a look at the chart. Here's what I think happened. Okay. And so, first of all, you see this Knighthead Capital Management. They've got 40% of the shares, and now Ackman's Pershing Square owns reportedly now close to 20% with all types of securities vehicles, including options. So what I believe happened is this. Essentially, there's no real retail investors in Hertz. If you take a look at the ownership, it's very little, right? And then so what do? Take a look at the float. See that? 109, basically 120 million shares out of 308 million. Okay, so you got a very small float. Bill Ackman saw this. He saw the low stock price, and he saw, look at that, short percentage of the float, 43%. So I think he got into this saying, okay, all I've got to do is buy the stock and then let the media know I've taken a big position. They're going to make all types of stories and post it everywhere, right? And then people are going to buy it thinking that, see what happens is that people are buying the stock not because Bill Ackman they think it's a great investment because this fucking knucklehead bought it. They're buying it because they know other people are going to buy it and push the stock up. You see? But you got a short squeeze. Bill Ackman bought this with, I believe, the intent of exploiting the short squeeze, getting a squeeze. You don't need a whole lot of news when you've got that kind of small float and that short interest out there, right? That's exactly what happened. This is fucking fraud. Okay? Folks, I see securities fraud on a daily goddamn basis. On a daily basis. So I just wanted to point that out. So what else do we have here? And let me just go ahead and mention Jeffrey Sachs is a conspiracy crackpot. Now you go ahead and you might want to go ahead and take a look at I'm tempted to say the name, not Wikipedia, but Copedia, just like the same with YouTube, same with Facebook, same with Google. You got it. Control, folks, total control. But he's not only and this is a guy, by the way, who has his COVID conspiracies. He claims that the coronavirus was produced by the U.S. military and released him. He has no evidence of this. He's supposed to be an acclaimed economist. Because you know who's telling the world that he's acclaimed. He's a brilliant genius, right? Where does he have a position? Well, where his buddies are, where they hired him. You understand the whole mafioso system. You all know how it works, okay? All I know is I look at goddamn results. I look at fucking results. I don't care what nobody says. I can determine credibility based upon results. This guy's been a fucking disaster. Okay? And he comes in because he's promoted as an expert and, I advise this fucking Banana Republic, turn their economy around. Yeah, well, give anybody the opportunity to do the obvious and they can turn a Banana Republic around as well. You understand? I mean, you can just go through and critique this guy. He's a globalist, a neoliberal globalist scumbag. And he's a pro-communist, disgusting dirtbag. He's a pro-Russian, pro-China CCP propagandist. Okay? That's what he is. We're going to go through his little China propaganda videos, and I'm going to listen to them for the first time, and I can guarantee you I'll slice them up, because I already know what he's going to say. He's going to state disinfo, that only someone like myself who knows what the hell is going on with China and trade can instantly debunk. Everyone else, though, is going to believe him. Well, because they say he's a genius. They say he's a great economist. It makes sense. He sounds credible. It's just sad. The whole world, people don't know how they're being manipulated and fucking dumbed down. It's just fucking disgusting and pathetic. Human population is disintegrated into it's very close to being animals now. All the progress made in the human population since the ancient Greeks for the first time began to think, the first humans to think like rational, logical human beings instead of becoming impulsive animals. That's right. Before the Greeks, the brilliance of the ancient Greek Empire, humans thought they were kind of like animals because they thought impulsively. They didn't have critical thinking. It was the Greeks that introduced critical thinking and reason and logic. as well as many other great things to this day the world population benefits from. But you see, we have regressed over the decades, accelerated by the internet, to the point where now much of the human population doesn't have critical thinking. They are beginning to resemble impulsive animals that think on instinct. That's the reality. It's obvious. It's not anything earth-shattering. It's just obvious. Anyone who's an observer of what's been going on and understands a lot of things, and they can decipher the propaganda in the media and all the bullshit artists will know this. It's just obvious. And you don't hear anyone out there to challenge anything, right? How come no one challenges anything? You've got the different positions, 2 or 3 different positions controlled by the gatekeepers, and you got the minions that decide on which of those 2 or 3 positions they want to serve as an echo chamber for, and they just fucking repeat it. That's what you have today. That's why I'm shut out. So you got a little basic rundown on Jeffrey Sachs in case I don't have a chance to go over him. I want to go over Peter Schiff first. So just as a refresher, you might recall I exposed Peter Schiff and his latest bullshit. His latest bullshit. And by the way, and you might want to check some Peter Schiff videos. You have a typical stupid stooge. You know, these stooges, they're too fucking stupid. They have Dunning-Kruger. They don't even realize how incompetent they are. You know, you have to have a certain level of competency in something in order to understand when something, you know, if someone is competent. If you don't have that competency, then you're just a delusional fucking idiot. But this guy, your Peter Schiff videos don't age well. Look at gold. I mean, this is how stupid people are. I mean, people like this should not be allowed to procreate. The logic is it's the opposite of logic. I mean, it's the best example of confirmation bias in Dunning-Kruger. It's the same with some of these other idiots. Remember, folks, these are the people, if they're following con artists out there, and you know, you look at the YouTube, the Tom Nashes, if they're following, they're obviously stupid. They're too stupid to even fucking decipher the reality. That's how fucking stupid they are. So Peter Schiff, of course, I exposed his pathetic funds, right? Terrible performance. Like, Peter Schiff has proven himself to be the king of wealth destruction. Just take a look at his mutual funds, okay? Here's one we focused on because this is his gold fund. And this is actually his best performing fund. His best performing fund. Okay? Take a look. Since inception, 2013, the red is the S&P 500. It's up 200. This is just passive. This doesn't include if, you know, you're someone like me who can forecast the markets with very high accuracy, and you can just, you know, buy and sell the index towards the top, back into the bottom. I mean, that's going to massively increase your performance. But if you're just a passive, you don't even pay attention to the stock market at all, and you choose to spend your life more wisely, you know, removing all financial content and media from your life, and realize that you're not going to have a chance to outperform the index unless you have a competitive advantage, which you don't, then you're just going to buy the index and enjoy your life, get more fulfillment instead of wasting a large fraction of your life on financial content. So if you're one of those people, you bought the S&P in 2013, didn't do anything, haven't paid attention, you're up by 223%. But if you're another type of person that believes all the fear-mongering bullshit because you trust the media, you think the media is promoting experts, and of course Peter Schiff is promoted by the media. They tell you that he predicted this and that, and they tell you he's got a great track record, and you know why. The media promotes a bunch of charlatans on purpose. Not just any charlatans, they got to be in the buddy system. You got it? My open discussion here, unrehearsed discussion, comes out easily. Unplanned, you know why? Because I've been doing this for 20 fucking years. Nobody knows this genre better than me. It's easy. easy fucking pickings. And when it comes to Peter Schiff, nobody knows this fucking clown better than me when it comes to his bullshit narratives, his mythology, his bullshit terrible track record, and his complete, all of his tactics to manipulate the markets and people, telling people that gold is real money and the dollar's going to be worth less than Bernie Madoff's investments and all this nonsense. But take a look. If you were another person that believed all the horse shit that you were hearing, all the doomsday fear-mongering shit, you might have bought Peter Schiff's gold fund. And take a look. Take a look. Gold has soared fucking amazingly. Of course, I've been in front of that trade. Made a shitload of money. But take a look. If gold hadn't soared, before the beginning of the year, his fund since 2013 was down by almost 9%. Think about that. 12 years. We'll call it 11 years. 11 and a half years. His fund was down 9%. Negative. So if you invested in Peter Schiff's gold fund, 2013, when it was launched, 11 years later, you'd be looking at 9% loss versus the S&P 223% gain. That's at the end of 2024. Gold has soared and pushed that to 20% gains. Okay? 20%. Okay? But take a look. Still, when gold was, somebody can look it up and tell me, August 2020 gold was what, 2,200 maybe? Right? Maybe it just reached a new record high. The lockdown, it was something around there. Right? Gold today is what? Closing in on 3,300, something like that. And take a look at his gold fund. Look, take a look. His gold fund is down by 50% since August 2020. Gold is up by, I don't have the charts in front of me, so I don't know exactly, but let's call it 2,200 to 3,200. Let's say, what is that? 40% since August 2020. Right? Look, his fund, right? Where was it? His fund is down. His fund is down by 50% since that time. But gold is up by 35%. Think about that. Think about that. Now, let's go ahead and show you again as well. Let's take a look at GLD. That's the gold ETF. Take a look. Even the gold ETF is up 127%. Think about that. Actually, I mean, maybe a more comparable index with gold would be the NASDAQ in terms of risk and volatility, right? But anyway, take a look at that. GLD crushed the performance of Schiff's mutual fund, which he's begging everybody to buy. His fund, which is actually down by 50% since August 2020, even though gold is up by 35%, right? S&P up 223%, NASDAQ up 353%. So that's just a kind of a refresher on what I was exposing Schiff on. His other funds are even much worse. You can't even beat GLD. Time to fucking wrap it up and go home. But you see, this is why, folks, Schiff spends all his time as a sales and marketing guy. That's what he is. He's not an economist. He's not an analyst. He's a sales and marketing guy because that's where he spends most of his time. He's brainwashing people. He brainwashes this cult. They don't do basic due diligence and pull up a fucking chart. They believe his horse shit. And that's, this is the danger of entering a cult. And this is why you can't talk sense to his cult members. Once you're in a cult, it's fucking over. It's virtually impossible to break out of the chains of control of a cult. So, what I wanted to point out is if you see that, take a look at the video that Schiff that I highlighted last time. I didn't know because I didn't watch the whole video, but later on I turned it on And towards the end, it turns out that Peter Schiff tells people the ticker of his mutual fund. This gets good. He tells them, you'll notice here, of course, as I mentioned, this is EPGFX, right? EPGFX, right? We'll take a look. He tells the viewers that they can buy his fund, and he gives them a different ticker. He gives them this ticker, and you can watch the video and see for yourself. He tells them EPGIX. Instantly, I know the deal. Instantly, I know exactly what he's doing. Without even looking at the chart, I say, okay, these are different shares of the same fund. See, what these shysters do in the financial industry, folks, this is a little trick. I mentioned this actually, if you pay attention, if you pay close attention to me, I mentioned when I exposed Jeffrey Gunlock, I showed all his fund performance, and you notice I showed he has newer funds launched, hoping to benefit, from timing. I knew Peter Schiff did this. He launched different shares of the same fund. Take a look. See this? You see this all? This is the inception. Peter Schiff launched different share class of the same mutual fund in late 2018. Why? Because his performance since 2013 was fucking terrible. So you're going to see a better performance over this time span. Do you think anyone knows this? No, they don't know this. All they know is they're checking the fund that Schiff gave them. They don't have a fucking idea. Do you think it's honest for Peter Schiff to do this? Right? No, it's not honest. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. You see that? So I wanted to point that out. And this emphasizes, it highlights the honesty or lack thereof of Peter Schiff. Okay? Folks, you got to be careful when you're dealing with these people in the financial industry. Okay? They're all fucking used car salesmen. You might recall I pointed out, I exposed Kevin O'Leary, his fraudulent marketing with his ETFs. You might want to look at that video and see for yourself. I'm not going to go over it. Complete fraudster. It gets better. Now let's go ahead and take a look here. Let me show you. So here's his fund. Okay. Notice both tickers have the same price. Essentially, anyway. Right? See that? In fact, as you might recall, I didn't look into this. I guess it's on the fact sheet if you go into his website. But it looks like the shares are loaded, front load or back load, because I could not see an expense ratio. And, I mean, it's just shocking. Anyone who's selling front or back load shares these days, I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, it's a total scam, in my opinion, because the fees are ridiculously high. I mean, front-loaded shares are like 5%. If you buy a front-loaded share, say you're paying $100,000, you're paying $5,000 off the top in commission. Okay, and they're going to tell you, oh well, but your annual expense ratio is going to be really small. Yeah, that's bullshit. Not to mention the fact that all the fees in mutual funds are not disclosed. Okay, they're not disclosed. I would say probably it's similar for ETFs, although I don't know because I haven't inspected the prospectus of these ETFs. But mutual funds, I've exposed all this shit many years ago. Take a look at the top holdings, and of course, I reminded everyone he doesn't even have Newmont Mining here, in the top. I mean, come on, I think it should be the top three. I think it should be number one. I mean, he claims to focus on risk, yeah, whatever. That's a ridiculous statement. Okay, it's a ridiculous statement. You might recall I mentioned this, and I mentioned this stock, and Peter even mentioned he's in royalties, Metallic royalty and streaming. This is where it gets interesting, because I had exposed this fucking scam artist, E.B. Tucker, last year or 2 years ago. You see? So you can see he's got a 5% of the fund is in this. Okay, well let's take a look at Metallic royalty, and we'll get into the details here shortly. Top holders. Euro Pacific Asset Management. Peter Schiff likes to play the hook, line, and sinker strategy. Right? Gold is going to the moon, but you can buy a lot. You can make a lot more money if you buy the gold miners. Right? I already exposed that bullshit pitch. Right? How he gets people into his bullshit stocks. But it gets even worse. Okay? And by the way, I encourage you all to call up Peter Schiff's firm. Okay? Record the conversation. Okay? And ask some questions. Ask about the mutual fund. Right? The different shares. Right? Tell them the performance is shit. Say, well, I'm looking at the original fund, the original shares. Why are you pointing me to this one? That's kind of misleading. But before you do that, I want you to call them and ask them if they sell private placements, right, in gold stocks, gold companies. Okay? Here's the bet. I'm willing to bet anybody a lot of fucking money, because I know the real deal. I know the deal on Schiff. The reason why he's got this big stake in Metallic Royalty is because he got a deal and he's in on the private placements. Okay? Now, I did a little checking on Peter. I hadn't done this before. I actually checked his registered brokers, and I may show this in a future video. A lot of them have been barred from the industry, by the way. They got barred due to business practices when they were working at Peter Schiff's firm, Euro Piece of Shit Capital. They got fucking barred, banned from the industry. Okay? Peter Schiff sells a lot of... This is, folks, this is the dangerous thing. When these fucking predators, when these parasites that work at Schiff's firm, they get you, and Peter's not going to be on the hook directly. See, because he's not selling this shit. He'll get the commission from his broker that sells the bullshit private placements. But when the broker gets sued, and when the broker does something dishonest, maybe marketing deception or whatever, and I mention this because I've seen it with the FINRA statements on these people, the Peter doesn't get sanctioned. His brokers do. And they get tossed out. But Peter still collects the fees. Okay? So I believe he's pitching risky bullshit private placement deals. I'm positive. Just call up and ask, can I get private placement through these gold companies? Through Metallic Royalty, do you have private placements? I'll guarantee, I know for a fact they do. I know the whole deal. It's, folks, I explained it before. Doug Casey, Rick Rule, Eric Sprott, Peter Schiff, Marion Catuz, all the shit they behind the scenes, they're putting people into fucking bullshit warrants for bullshit companies and private placements. Warrants and private placements, it's a different beast. You see, you can get away with a lot of bullshit. You understand? The disclosures are limited because these apply to accredited investors. You understand? Anyway, let's. I haven't even begun on the going down the fucking rabbit hole here. So you got an idea now what's going on, right? Schiff is he's the number one holder of this, what I believe to be a fucking bullshit company. In fact, I exposed it as such 3 fucking years ago, or almost 2 years ago. Okay? So let's see if we got anything else here. So let's take a look at some numbers first. Let's look at the stats. So you've got, here's the margins. Profit margin minus 93%. So think about this for a second. This is a company that basically buys the rights to gold, supposedly proven reserves. Supposedly. And I don't know the details, but it's kind of like an oil royalty, right? Oil and gas royalties. They are purchasing, they're supposed to be lower risk because they're purchasing land. They have the rights to land that has, and you have to really look at the definition of proven reserves. Exactly what that means. And they have different categories of reserves, right? You have to very closely look at that. But this is what this company does, basically. And they have purchase rights, right? So apparently, supposedly, there's gold in the ground, okay? Well, how come they're not producing any fucking thing when gold keeps going to new fucking record highs? Okay, maybe the company just launched. No, it's been around for fucking years. What's going on, guys? Think about it. Sounds like a fucking scam to me. Let's take a look. Operating margin, minus 51%. Okay. Revenue, just under $6 million. Okay, so let me just state something about revenues. We don't know where those revenues are from. Now, you know, this is not a U.S. listed stock, by the way. I think this is like an ADR. So the disclosures are not going to be as transparent. These guys that typically are involved in this resource bullshit, these junior miner bullshit companies, and once again, folks, you should assume all junior miners are fucking scams, you know, until proven otherwise. That's the default premise. Now, once again, that's my judgment. I think my judgment's worth a whole hell of a lot. Okay? Considering I'm the big swinging dick in the fucking industry. So, take a look here. So revenues. Where's the revenue from? It's not necessarily from gold mining. Right? It's not necessarily. There could be many ways you're getting revenues. I just mentioned that. Okay? Cash. 10 million. Debt. 12.5 million. Okay? So ask yourself the question, first and foremost, where the fuck are the revenues? Right? This is a company with a $360 million market cap. Well, $288 million. There you go. Where's the revenues? What's going on? Can you imagine how desperate gold companies are? Right? How hard they're working? Imagine how much gold has gone up over the past year. Right? Versus, a decade ago. And before that, when gold was fucking in the dumps doing nothing, after having collapsed, 30, 35% from the 2011 highs, down for 3-4 years, right? Not doing a whole lot until really, the pandemic. Gold has moved big time over the past year. Imagine how desperate these companies are. They're willing to spend all types of money. They're going to overpay for everything, anything they can do to get gold out of the fucking ground, right? Yet these guys are doing nothing. What's that tell you? If they're not fucking producing spectacular results now, what do you think is going to happen when the gold bull market calms down? Because it will calm down. Okay? Think about it. Just something to think about. So let's now take a look. I want to show you something. So I wrote this article. E.B. Tucker is no longer on the board of directors of this Metalla royalty company. He was the face guy pushing this bullshit company a few years ago, by the way. This is how I ran across him. I started seeing all the gold pumpers promote this guy and his royalty horse shit. And I knew a big scam, a pump and dump was in the making. Okay? So, take a look and see here. January 2023, E.B. Tucker is on the board of a climate change company, but he thinks climate change is a hoax. That's right. You can't make this shit up. Think about that. That's the type of people you're dealing with. Now, E.B. Tucker is from the Porter Stansberry, Doug Casey copy editing boiler room shit show. That's right. He's from that crowd. Why is he on the board of this company? It's a climate change royalty. Okay? He's on the board because he's the face guy. He's the stock promoter. You understand? He's the promoting guy because that's his whole career, stock promoting penny stocks. Penny stock fucking horse shit. That's what this guy does. Promotes pump and dumps and bullshit. That's his history. Look into it. Take a look. Guess what I found? When he was working with Casey Research, September, just not even 2 years before, right? Take a look. September 27, 2019. Doug Casey and E.B. Tucker on the climate change hoax. Here we go. As longtime readers know, Doug and E.B. share the same controversial opinion. Climate change is one big hoax. I mean, think about this. I mean, you can't make this shit up. He's on the board of a climate change fucking company. What's that tell you about E.B. Tucker? He's a dishonest, money-worshipping piece of fucking shit who will do and say anything for a fucking shekel. Think about it, folks. This is the type of shit that I fucking do. Nobody in the world is fucking doing this shit. I've been doing this shit for fucking 20 years. As a hobby. I'm a world-class research analyst. This is a hobby, exposing fucking scammers. Doesn't pay me no money. Do I get any credit? Any support? Any thanks? I get nothing. But people throw snowballs and defame me and make up shit. Because that's what happens when you're a big swinging fucking dick who can take down the whole system. A lot of people potentially can lose their gravy train of fraud. And so they're going to try and attack you. Got another one here. I actually come out and warn people about E.B. Tucker's penny stock pump and dumps. This is what I say. I mean, it's amazing the people I could save them tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars if they knew about me and how I expose all these motherfuckers. And then you have some people that say, "Oh yeah, well you saved me," and like I get no support from them at all. They're just fucking greedy. You know, why do you think people like me don't exist? Right? Okay, you siphon my time, my expertise, my broadband, and you don't even become a member of my fucking site. Here you go. See this? I already talked about this. See why charlatans love private placements? No public disclosure. Okay, see that? I didn't even read this today, but I mentioned it earlier. Why? Because I know this. Facts don't change. Okay. And so here's the CEO of this Metalla royalty, and you'll notice these Kitco and these gold pumping cameras. They always have some attractive girl with the boobs and stuff, right? Folks, that's a telltale sign of a fucking scam. Why do they need to get your attention? It's like the Ty Lopez here in my garage, my Lamborghini. Oh, girl with the boobs. I exposed that whole scam with CNBC 20 fucking years ago. Then, of course, I remind everyone about my exposure of the Facebook pump and dump. How Goldman Sachs was pumping up Facebook, and Facebook declined. It collapsed by 40% after the IPO, after Goldman pumped the fuck out of the valuation. 40% within, I think, 3 months. See that? I mean, let's be honest here, folks. When you're talking about me, you're talking about somebody on a much fucking different level. On a much fucking different level here. And I can say that. You know why? Because nobody knows about me and no one else is going to say it because they don't know about me. I know the facts. That's how somebody is measured, their credibility. Not by what the media mafia says. It's by what you've done. The goddamn results. That's a fact. And so, here's another one here. October 25th, 2023. Copywriting clown E.B. Tucker gets in on the junior mining promotion business. And I want to show you here this New Orleans investment conference. It's not an investment conference. It's a gold pumping conference. These New Orleans, see, they used to call it the hard assets, but I think they changed it to investment to make it sound like it's investments, right? But take a look at these guys. And I write about how they got the newer players into this whole fucking scam and the old guys, the incumbents, right? And I want you to take a look. Notice that they all have something in common. They all have something in common. They're all fucking related. How the motherfuck is that possible? In the theme of William Shatner, right? Oh, oops, he's related too. Right? if you take a close look at the scammers out there, every single genre, you're going to see there's a very high propensity of a certain group of parasites to be involved. This is based upon my world-class expertise and observation for the past 20 years. That's right. I've proven it with cryptocurrencies. I've proven it with precious metals. I've proven it with the capital markets. You can go and look into insurance scams, by the way. You can look into virtually any scams. So I'm not going to get into it, but one might ask, well, why is this so? Well, it might be, I think different ethnicities, different races have different propensities of different things based upon culture, maybe based upon genetics, but certainly based upon culture. You understand. For instance, some ethnicities, what's important in their culture is high education, high educational attainment, right? That's a cultural value that's rewarded in that system. Incidentally, the same ethnicity is involved in a lot of scams. Maybe because, I don't know, they worship money. Maybe because they don't have a value system that's based upon the fundamentals of the ancient Greeks, morality, right? They don't see scams as being bad. I don't know. Let me show you. So here's where it gets interesting. So I wrote this big long article. And I investigated this guy. He started out, take a look at his LinkedIn, his first job out of college, and he went to some shit school, of course. He couldn't get a job. Okay? Like these business majors, the fucking useless degree. You can't get a job. Okay? So he forms a real estate company and makes it look like he's got a real company. He's a real. In reality, he's renting. He's probably bought a fucking duplex, living on one side and renting out the other. Okay. Then he gets into the stock promotion business. Okay. I mean, you can just look this up. And so I just go through and talk about this company, how it's a complete shit show. Okay. And you can see it's been around for almost 10 years. And they're still not profitable, barely any revenues, and I just go through all the red flags. Apparently, I think what happened is that he was removed as a director because I think, to be honest with you, the Mr. Heath, the CEO, ran across my article. Here's another red flag. Anything on King World News. King World News is a complete 100% scam website that promotes gold pumpers, and gold mythology. It's backed by Eric Sprott. It's a complete shit show. Everything on there and everyone on there, you better believe, is a scam, is a con. Okay? Palisade Radio, same deal. I even show you here his insider trading history. You see that? Take a look. I show the pump and dump. This is another royalty he was involved in. E.B. Tucker. Files final shelf prospectus. So what they do is they pump up these stocks to the idiots out there, the stupid fucking numbskulls that watch ScamTube and think they're going to get good information. And they buy into this shit. Then they buy the stock. And then what happens is the company comes out and they'll either issue more shares, or they'll do something else to dilute the shareholders, and the stock will fucking collapse. So he said it doesn't have to be selling the shares. Oftentimes they'll just dilute the fuck out of the share price. In fact, you can see from when I wrote this article a couple of years ago, take a look. Look at the share price. 562. Okay, interesting. Let's take a look. 2023. Nope. Take a look. See what happened? They obviously issued a lot more shares. See that? Take a look at this stock chart, by the way. Okay? Take a look at that. This is the number one holding in Peter Schiff's Your Piece of Shit Capital Gold Fund. His number one holding. Okay? Maybe that could be one reason why his fund has gotten destroyed versus GLD, right? I mean, folks, the bottom line, like, I'm going to start a service. I'm going to start a service, a paid service, where people come to me and they ask about funds and they ask about advisors, and I'm going to tell them, they got to pay me, and I'm going to tell them if the advisor's full of shit, if the fund is full of shit, right? Will they be better off in a kind of a neutral fund or an index? That's what I'm going to do. But you see, nobody will come to me for that. That's not how the human mind thinks. You see? The people that are thoughtful enough, intelligent enough to even think that way are going to realize that these investments are shit. It's the dumb people that can't be helped. They're too stupid to even understand the need, right? You understand. It's a different level of stupidity. So, let's take a look here to confirm the share dilution. For that, I'm going to go to the balance sheet. There you have it. Take a look at that. See that? Right after I wrote this article. You see that? This is December 31st, 2023. They nearly doubled the number of shares outstanding. See that? From 49,467,000 to 90,877,000 shares. See that? This is the type of horse shit that Peter Schiff's gold fund is invested in. His number one holding. Now, once again, I believe the real gravy train for Schiff is he's got his brokers selling private placements for this fucking bullshit company. Okay? Bullshit company. That's what it is. If you got a gold mining company that's been around, and remember, folks, this is supposed to be low risk. They market it as low risk. Oh, well, you're buying gold in the ground. That's what Schiff calls it, gold in the ground. It's already in the ground. All you got to do is mine it. That's call up. I haven't called yet. Call up his firm, talk to one of his fucking stooges, and ask him about royalties. Gold royalties, and I guarantee you they're going to say they're going to use the term gold in the ground because Peter Schiff used that term. I guarantee it. Fucking guarantee it. Do some legwork.